I don't know, people who are very experienced in this one, they will know that uh, creating trading platform is one of the more recent challenges in blockchain. And recently, I am actually personally involved with a project that is energy trading. Of course, with Dr. Prashant Agnihotri, who will be, he is an electrical engineer working power. He will be teaching, he will be giving lectures tomorrow. You will be able to learn more from the electrical angle to this one. And also, this is, okay, let me stop my video. I hope it's okay. What is important is for all of you, for all of us, not all of you, all of us, student, teacher, professionals, businessmen, all of us, businessmen, they actually can see the high level. What is important is to, understand the read between the lines. Suppose she wrote a paper which she never published. In fact, we do not know who he is. He just put it out. It's a 10-page, extraordinary nicely written paper. He never bothered to publish it or whatever. But important thing is for the community to actually read between the lines and take the work forward. If you create a piece of work, the piece of work which is considered great value, which gives people the food for thought for a long, long time. If I create a value, if I create something and nobody can take it forward, you cannot extend it, you cannot play with it. It is like you are stifling within a closed box and you cannot break open. That technology does not survive much. A technology is considered good, which gives you the opportunity to enrich the technology itself. That means it can be extended, updated, revised, enriched, various ways. That is called a very good technology. And blockchain technology has this property. Which means that every day we see new applications are coming, new features are being added to the fundamental core principle that was developed in 2008. It is a good sign. It is a good sign that whether a technology perhaps has a chance or not. Okay. So now it is very important. So, we started with cryptocurrency. We moved into supply chain. We moved into trusted platform. We moved into a trading platform. That is the new use case or application or the new avenue in which this river is flowing, this blockchain. So why Ganges is so interesting? Because it starts from the Himalayas and made his way to this plain land, and then moves into all the way and then meets the sea. So, you have been able to be extended. That is why that is how you can actually measure how good this is. The blockchain has shown that property as well. That we can every day we think we get interested in that and application. So this is a very new application, very new, and more so energy trading. That how many people can actually imagine that I will be trading solar energy to my neighbor, something like this. So before that is why all the applications recently, and we are deeply involved in this sector. That's trading, how to use, and some of you probably know that Indian government has actually injected huge amount of money in IIT Bhilai, and some of us, including me, are at the center of it, is to actually create trading platforms using blockchain. And one of the trading is certainly energy trading, for which we require people expert in power systems, because we do not understand how the power systems, which is a complicated thing. This one. So let us first understand that how trading works in blockchain. Okay, so then we'll move into the power trading. Okay, I hope that is how the thing I have organized this one. So let me move into my, okay. So blockchain in trading and financing. This part we have to understand. And then on top of that, Only understanding it gives you maybe 70% of the understanding how it can be used as a trading platform. And then you need various intricate and realistic uh, properties and features of power systems in order to include it in block. So you can see that how you can use it. That is what the technology is. So let us first try to do this, what we call the trading platforms or fintech. And power trading is nothing but a part of the fintech. Okay. So let's actually spend half an hour on that, or maybe. Okay. So now, I mean, for you people, I think people come from diverse backgrounds. It is important to understand everything separately. Do not confuse. I say to my students, to my colleagues and friends and enemies as well, that I believe that there are two types of people in the world. Not rich, not poor. It makes no sense. I don't think that a few extra bucks makes me, and not even happier or sadder. Everybody is happy at one time and everybody is sad at one time. So you cannot get rid of that. But I believe there are two types of people, somebody who is confused, somebody who is very clear. Even if you are going to fail in the exam, I would probably like that person wise who knows that yes, I'm going to fail because I didn't study. But the person who even gets fast is very confused at what I'm going to do, even though he'll probably get in the highest mark. I think that he's probably a very poor guy that he doesn't know that he's going to. So that is very important. That to have a clear understanding of what is happening. So now, wash off everything of what you know. Completely focus on something called trading and financing. Right? Let us try to understand that what is trading, what is financing, how blockchain suddenly apparently looks to be a very different beast, suddenly comes into the fray and changes, hits it on its head, and completely changes the landscape. That is okay. Enormous thing that this 10-page paper by Satoshi Nakamoto has actually contained. Okay. So now, financing is a very different one. How many people in computer science or engineering colleges want to know financing? But you need to, because that is how the world goes. Okay. So fintech, financial services and technology. Fintech industry and fintech application. Fintech, if the word if the word bothers you, if it is not very sweet sounding to your ear, just think of financial services. All of us do. If I want to survive in this modern world, I have to keep myself engaged in financial services. There is no other way. And why financial sector people are always in the news, not the person who create technology? Because it is directly associated, directly connected to our survival, financial services. We do not go to the paddy field and grow crops and then eat it. We buy it. We buy it through currency. So you know the connection. We buy it through various other means. We used to have exchange a different way, barter system, various other ways of exchange of services and products. Services and products are the cornerstone of our survival. It was there since the time immemorial. When a baby was born, it is very important for us, the people who create policy. Sometimes we call them people in the governance. When a baby was born, we have to make sure that this baby contributes to the economy, and in exchange gets output from the economy. Otherwise, he cannot survive. The baby cannot survive. So this is very important. Forget about math, forget about your academic geniuses, but you need a well-functioning economy in which there is a platform where a baby means is a symbolic of someone who comes into the world, and I need to make sure that this baby survives for a long, long time. How can he survive? The only way for him to survive, or for her to survive, is get resources from the economy. Now, why would the economy give the babies resources? You know why? Because the baby will in turn give the economy resources. So this is an exchange. In the history of the world, you will be surprised to know that the famines and the droughts happened. Plenty of people died, not because there's a shortage of food, not because of that. That is very counterintuitive. They did not die because there's a shortage of food. Why did they die? Because there are no jobs. Just think about that. There are no jobs. If you do not have job, you do not earn money. If you do not earn money, you do not get the food or whatever resources you need for the survival. So there is no shortage of that. There is a supply. There is a demand. But only thing that was missing is a platform to exchange. Anyway, that is how the blockchain comes into picture. And financial services are everywhere. The sound terms very fancy, very, modern, very off. Maybe something comes where the most academicians do not want to involve themselves with, but they have no choice. So this is fintech. Okay. So now, and trading is a part of this. Everybody involved in trading. I mean, I have been talking it because to students, and I have seen, to my surprise, I would not say to my surprise, because I said, sir, why do I want to bother myself with trading? I want to do my job. I want to be an Einstein or a Newton. I want to solve mathematical problem. I want to solve new ideas. But why do I? Because trading is the part and parcel of everybody's life. For example, me, I work at IIT Bhilai. Every month I get money. Why do I get money? You know why? Because I give a service. So exchange of service and product is a part of everybody's life. So you have to have but I do not create job. Perhaps I know blockchain. Perhaps there is a people to actually understand blockchain. But why do I need that? Because if there's a demand for that. But what I'm trying to say is that I need a platform to actually sell my service. Everybody is selling. Everybody in some sense is a businessman. I sell my service. I teach. Sometimes I do a lot of admin work, outreach work, teaching, project, government project, and they give me money. That is the exchange. So everybody in some sense is a businessman. So I need a platform to actually, to make the business brisk, fast, and it should not be slow business. So why India suffers? India suffers because there is a demand, there's a supply, there's a raw talent in India. But these talented people do not know how to sell their talent and to do what? Why? Because there is no platform, marketplace. No? Otherwise, if you cannot sell, you don't get money, and who is going to give you? You do not grow crop, paddy field or rice or whatever. You have to buy it. You need money. So that is why the whole fintech sector is now booming. It's a booming technology, and blockchain is one of the salient things that now people are adopting in order to create marketplaces for people to actually. I am personally involved with two marketplaces, two things that are very close to my heart. Have you heard of a marketplace for organ transfer? Organ transfer is a very murky place in India. A lot of black marketeering happens. So, there are demand for organs like kidney or whatever. But there are people who are needy. There are people who want to sell. But, it's a very murky and a very shady marketplace. So blockchain has one. Another is artwork business. A lot of talented artists are there in the villages, in the rural areas. They create marvelous, paintings, artwork, and what is this? Pottery, sculpture. If you go there, you often go, and they still suffer. They cannot really have the means to actually live their life with some grace and dignity. even to sometimes to even to make both ends meet, they really suffer. Why do they do that? You know why? The reason is that anybody who would be connoisseur of art will be jump to actually buy their artwork, but they cannot do that. And what is the reason? That is the problem in this online platform. Now, normally I get the answer. Can somebody tell me what the reason? Somebody who lives in a remote village, inordinately talented to do sculpture work, but still doesn't have the money to actually, buy the food that he needs. What is the reason for that? In the chat, it's in the chat. I need some answer. Otherwise, it's very in the chat. If you are muted, write in the chat. I'm waiting. I need some interaction from that. Otherwise, it looks like talking to, all the in a cemetery. Why a talented person in a village? What is the problem is that there is a lot of people to buy his artwork. He is willing to sell. Yeah, that I will do, Balakumar, but just answer my question now. Or you want to make a comment? Okay, the reason is that there is no marketplace. The simple reason, there is no marketplace where this guy can go and sell his. Okay, so that is why these fintech services come into picture. Fintech means financial services and technology. So what are the financial services? Payments, lending, borrowing, insurance, underwriting, mortgage, foreign exchange, financial assets, equity, bond, various banking services, credit, debit card, notary, overdraft. So these are the services that are very important for us to actually, earn money. Sell our products, our artifacts. These are the things. So fintech means, I think, the services, delivery of financial services from provider to customer using technology. Is it new? Certainly not very new, at least in 2021. We have ATM since 1990s, 80s in India, 1990s, 80s perhaps. We have credit card. It's a booming credit card because I can remember in 1990, 2001, when I was graduating from Indian Statistical Institute, a lot of credit card companies came and trying to actually force all these things onto me, thinking that I will be a rich man one day and will do a lot of purchase. So, credit cards are there. So these are all part of fintech. So what is new? Fintech, that is a financial services, old versus new. Old fintech, limited services, more human driven, less technology. New and re-emerged fintech driven by blockchain, artificial intelligence, data science, IoT, and cloud. A novel service, various novel services came into. So when you say fintech, so everybody has heard of that word fintech, right? Yes or no? Everybody heard of the word fintech? Yes, that is financial services, lending, borrowing, insurance, underwriting this. These are the services. So what is a new thing? Because I'm slowly moving into the trading part. Okay. So I want to actually say one thing that people like, I added it, that in these days, everybody is very excited or very enthusiastic and always talk about IT, information technology. So, quite rightfully so. Because so Microsoft, so now if you see the top 4 companies based on the market capitalization, in 1999, Microsoft was number 1. General Electric was number 2, which is not a IT company. Docomo is a network company, and Cisco always IT company. They create mainly routers and everything. They were the 4 companies in 1999. Now, in 2009, 10 years fast forward, you can see PetroChina, ExxonMobil, Microsoft, ICBC. I want question because otherwise I cannot move. Now, okay, let me do one thing. Can I have, okay, great. I can have this as well. Okay, fantastic. Okay, now, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, can you tell me, is Microsoft an IT company? Let me see. I need some yes or no answer. Yes. Okay. Otherwise, you can understand that, talking to graveyard is very difficult. Now, Microsoft is an IT company, Docomo, Cisco, G to some extent. These are 1999. And can somebody tell me what are the PetroChina and Exxon? Are they IT companies? PetroChina and ExxonMobil? No. They are energy companies. PetroChina, ExxonMobil. People would love to join this company. They're very. Microsoft is an IT company. So it came three. ICBC is a bank. So now, in 1999, I can see that transformation and transition. IT, and suddenly, keep writing in the chat box. That would actually make me the feeling that I'm talking live rather than a recording. Yeah. So now the chat. Okay, chat. Yeah. So now ExxonMobil are all energy companies, IT companies, and this is a banking, the financial services company, ICBC. Now what happens after that? Now 2019, I see Microsoft, a very trademark of a very, a very real example, a very excellent example of IT sector. We call the, and Apple, Amazon. Is Amazon an IT company? Okay, Alphabet. Both are actually IT in 2019. So now, if you see, the world top 10 companies, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Berkshire Hathaway is completely a financial company. 6, 7, Facebook, Alibaba, Tencent, Visa. So now you see the top 10 companies are taken by IT and the finance. So now I'm seeing that the emergence of IT companies and the finance companies are taking the lead role. So now the transformation is energy. Okay. Here, if you see that recently, if you can find that Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, all these companies are actually opening their financial services, which apparently means that the borderline between financial companies and tech companies, IT companies are called big tech companies. They're not called IT these days, they're big tech. Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Google, right? They're all called big tech companies. So these are big tech companies and you are financial companies. So now you see that Facebook, Alibaba, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Alibaba, they're all opening their own currencies, their own financial businesses. They ask you to give me money, I will do your utilities. Why they are doing it? The reason is that the borderline or the gap between financial companies and the big tech companies are actually blurred. It's getting blurred very fast. It's actually now the borderline is actually vanishing very fast. So that is why I can probably in maybe 2-3 years can call Microsoft rather a fintech company, because it is a big tech company. Now it is having financial services. I'm not talking Microsoft, but let's say Apple. Apple is as much a technology company as a financial company. So, so the borderline is actually vanishing, is actually disappearing fast. Because in order to do business, because that is what the demand supply. So Visa, Visa was usually a finance company. Now it is as much a big tech company. I mean, take about various the financial institutions like Morgan Stanley and whatever. They are all now recruiting the IT sector students because big tech and finance are all actually growing very fast. These are all as much finance companies as much as they are big technology companies. So this is how I'm just trying to say that now what is actually happening? The happening is that, and that it is to some extent driven by the emergence of blockchain technology. Blockchain is allowing the technologists to come into picture. So there is a saying, not a saying, there is a rumor, or there's a, the grapevine is always abuzz with the idea that technology is slowly, I mean, eating into the jobs of the financial sector people. It may one day eat into the jobs of the the policymakers, the governance, even maybe the lawyers or the professionals of the law. So technology is powerful, but you have to be very cautious and take steps nicely in order to make it useful. Yeah. So now, why fintech? Financial services are actually taken because of the blockchain. So what we see is that the boundaries, the high volume, micro and decentralized financing. Business is rigorous because this open banking, lending, decentralized trading, micro trading, and these are only possible because of blockchain. And some of the features that you can see here is, what is so great about, decentralized financing, trust, that is, there's no middleman. So once you do not have a middleman, the seller earns more, the buyer pays less. So it is like a win-win situation for both the buyer and the seller. As I said, it is a dispute resolution platform completely based on technology without relying on human mind, which is difficult to handle. So that allows the buyer and seller to find each other fast and then be done with the transaction without paying the money that the middleman, all the layers of the middleman or the intermediaries take away. So it is actually a very platform which energizes, invigorates the business platform. That is how it is so fast being adopted. And still, the adoption scale, it is still not excellent, but it is because the technology is hard to understand. Implementation is so much pain. So understandably be not so easy. So it is slowly and gradually it is taking the fintech sector as well. Okay, I want to give you one example. This is a picture. I want to give you how blockchain is actually, okay. So all of you can see the picture, right? Can you write yes if you can see the picture of, what is this picture? And somebody, what is this picture of? This picture on my left? Please write on the chat box. Can somebody tell me that? Great. Saurabh Jain, thank you. This is Mona Lisa. So do you know that how much it costs, where it is stored, where it is actually displayed? Anybody knows that where the original Mona Lisa, who actually painted this? Whose painting it is? Who painted this masterpiece? Anybody knows who painted this masterpiece? Okay, this is painted by Leonardo da Vinci. Very good. So this painting is now put up in a museum called Louvre Museum in Paris, and this painting would cost, it is priceless, it would cost you probably hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, if you are a connoisseur of art and you want to purchase, and if you are a middle class, you come from a middle class background, middle class economic background, it is just impossible for you to own the entire painting because it is hundreds of millions of dollars. You cannot buy it alone. Now, is it possible that 1 million people join hands and buy the painting, buy the part of the painting? Blockchain allows you in a system called tokenization. You can even part A, that is the top left corner of top left piece of Mona Lisa. You can even buy the middle up piece of Mona Lisa. So you can divide the entire picture and can buy it, a piece of it. And you know also what? Suppose your daughter is going to get married very soon and need a quick money. You can even sell a part of Mona Lisa that you own. Maybe the block B you own and you need money on an urgent basis. You can find a buyer to sell half of part B and sell B prime. So now you can understand that if this platform really works, how much easy to do business. Almost everything can be, and buying and selling is the most important. No matter if you are a Puritan, you don't like it, but without buying and selling, a country cannot prosper. You just need to create demand and supply as well as the platform. That is how the country survives. GDP grows. You need to have a energize the business. Everybody will be able to sell whatever they want. I give you one more example. All financial services. Listen carefully. Very important. This is one example. I found some of the examples interesting that I put up on my talk. So there is a student who is very industrious, means hardworking, focused, and of course he has talent. So now he doesn't have so much money to support his studies. So now, but he was able to buy one computer or laptop, maybe borrowed some money from his father or some relatives, and he wants to use as a source to actually earn money. So what he thinks is that at the night when he sleeps, can he rent out his computer? It is difficult to find a buyer nearby. But he found a renter in New Zealand. So how can he let a student, because in New Zealand it is actually day when it is night and night day. So he can actually rent out his computer at night, and there is a guy who really wants to use his computing machine in exchange for money, which means there is a person to actually give his demand. There's a supply, but the question is that how this transaction will take place. How can you really develop the trust between a student in New Zealand and a student in India? Again, I already told that trusted platform blockchain, you can use it. So now a marketplace is just created where a poor student in India is able to actually sell his computing power to a person in New Zealand because trust is coming from blockchain and the business is done. Okay. So that is how this blockchain is actually creating a platform, creating a trading platform. Okay. Yeah. Right. So now, what are the disrupting? Yeah. Okay, what are the disrupting technologies for this? So various issues are actually can be actually addressed by blockchain. That is automation, decentralized banking, robo advisor. You know, robocall always you get robocall. Yeah. So open banking. There are a lot of sophisticated financial services that came because of blockchain. These financial services were unknown earlier. Some of them are algorithmic trading, smart contracts, open unbanked services. Okay, so these are all various services that generated out of blockchain in financial services. Okay. So again, some details. Okay, some details here. Blockchain. So these are the services where blockchain takes a very direct part. Decentralized banking, peer-to-peer lending, microfinance, open banking, unbanked services, smart contracts. Okay. So there are fintech landscape is huge. Artwork market. Even I often discuss with my colleague, especially Prashant, that this energy trading that I will be taking up in a moment is huge. It's coming up is huge. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So these are fintech market is quite huge. So people want to work in there can actually test their fortune if they can actually make business in fintech. So what is blockchain? Now I come to blockchain is actually a distributed ledger. And it has a property like immutability, traceability, trackability, of course, some security coming from cryptography. So this is a quick syncing of data. That is the one that is used. So let me take one fintech problem, but I think it is still very technical. So I don't want to go into that part. It is called a data trading protocol. Suppose you want to trade data. What data? Suppose against a keyword, oblivious. Suppose the buyer has a keyword, say the keyword is say Gyan Ganga technological ISO technology, Gyan Ganga ISO technology. And he wants to know that if there is a file where this is a keyword, but he doesn't want to reveal the keyword if it doesn't match. So obliviously. Very important to keep your secrets. Obliviously, you want to actually sell it. Okay. So yeah, so you have to sell it. So now, yeah, so that is one a trading protocol. We have already created it. So here a lot of security issues are there, fairness issues are here. This is the owner, this is a user. So they want to sell this, and we use some hardware machinery also called SGX provided by Intel, and by which what he wants to do, the user wants to give a keyword, the owner wants to give the file. But if it doesn't match, the user will never know what the file, the owner would never know what the keyword is. And there is no trusted platform. And that is a very typical case where you can use blockchain. So this is one platform, and privacy is given by cryptography, fairness is blockchain. This is very important. The protocol works this way, something called a bulletin board, which blockchain symbolically is used as a bulletin board, as if you are writing on the bulletin board. I told you that there is no bulletin board in a peer-to-peer, but blockchain is peer-to-peer, still bulletin board. You remember this, what is this? This public lavatory I talked about, which is the cleanest, but still it is public. Peer-to-peer as well as bulletin board. So that is what the blockchain magic is. It is peer-to-peer, no trusted, but still we have a bulletin board. So blockchain creates a bulletin board. We have used some cryptographic protocol called ODT, oblivious data transfer. So I think that we can combine cryptography and blockchain in order to solve oblivious trading. Oblivious is a very important part of trading, because if it doesn't supply oblivious, then you cannot nobody will be using that trading platform. Okay. So there are various algorithms. I don't want to go into that. But this is a high-level pictorial diagram that you have a data commitment. Technically, if you want to learn, you have to be able to abstract, think in an abstract way. So there are 6 stages actually in any trading protocol. That is a data commitment, matching, pledging reward, and blockchain and the underlying blockchain is a money transaction platform. So you can understand that I can use this transaction in order to actually in order to actually do the trading part. Trading means transaction. Give my money. That is the Bitcoin. That is the cryptocurrency supplies, and you can also have various other ware or products to sell. I think that so there are some very sophisticated math used in this one in order to do this one, and which was the content of one of my PhD students' thesis to how to actually create a platform to solve a problem using blockchain. That is a trading problem. So as I said that underneath it is heavily technical. So you need to be master of technology as well. And I know academicians and students are very interested to actually learn the technology part of it. So there are some techniques. We use something called bilinear pairing to solve it. But what will happen is that it is called an oblivious trading platform. And so I think that let me skip this part. So there's something called matching, because all you have to check is the file contains the keyword or not. And very interestingly, the owner would not know the keyword would not know any other file, but the trading will happen and the money will be only supplied. But if anybody checks, there will be huge penalty. And all these things are happening just because of blockchain. Okay, so I think that that is the technical part of it. I think that I should skip it, and you will be able to solve it yourself when you go into the blockchain techniques used there, hash function, signature. Dispute resolution done. So there are various ways we can actually do this, and some security. So that is one. Now I go to this energy part, the last part of my talk today. That is the energy part. That is the energy part of it. Let me see if I have my slide. Yes. Yep. Okay, so this part, this is energy part of it. And Prashant will talk a lot about that tomorrow. I just only want to give you some of the ideas, and it will be perhaps elaborated and deeply analyzed tomorrow. If I have time, I will also try to join. Okay, so this is energy transaction. So see, first we talk about why blockchain is important. Then we talk about the blockchain basics, I hope. And then we talk about trading using blockchain. And the last part, the final piece of this puzzle is now the energy transaction. You can transaction file. You can imagine that how file can be transacted, or file can be traded against money for under various with some conditions satisfied. How about energy trading and why it is important? What is the meaning of energy trading? I will certainly, this is a deep subject and I'm not a master of that, but I can try to motivate what is the issue at hand. Let me see if I can do this, but I need your support for that. You have to interact. I'm not getting much interaction, which is I'm losing out my motivation to talk. I need some interaction, interesting questions, but which is not happening. But see, let me see if you can actually appreciate this question or not. Okay. My question is, okay, this is my full stop, energy transaction. Okay, this is a joint work with Dr. Prashant Agnihatri, Assistant Professor, IIT Bhilai. Okay, this is my question. Can I sell solar power to my neighbor? I want to pause a little bit. Okay, can I see on the chat box, are you with me or not? I can see some yes. Yeah. Please shake off your yes. Okay. Okay, you are here. You are listening. All of you are listening. Another point I just want to, it's kind of more conversational than teaching and all this. See, the whole idea is, yeah, okay, very good. Thank you so much. Very good. Okay. So I say, in order to create an impact in the minds of the students, I'm convinced that I'm right, but some people have slightly confused, is that I say that asking the question is difficult. Asking the right question is difficult. Solution तो कोई भी कर लेता है, कोई भी कर लेगा. लेकिन problem is important. You know, and there's a movie I have seen that people, there's a Amitabh Bachchan once said that पैसा तो कोई भी कमा लेता है, लेकिन इज्जत. So in the same way, I want to say is that asking the right question is very important. Now I am asking this question, that does this question itself excites you? That can I sell solar power, which is stored in the solar panel in my roof, to my neighbor by passing? Okay, all right. Kirti, this is the correct answer. Then I will actually put down my next question. That, okay, all right. I will take it as a question. Of course, certainly your answer is correct, but that is a question. But you know, whenever you do business, there is a huge amount of paperwork needed to be done in order to make it legal. And that becomes sometimes so notoriously slow that people completely lose interest to do work, especially business. Entrepreneurial activities are slow in India. One of the reasons is the huge amount of bureaucracy. It is not because we do not trust each other. No, nobody trusts each other anywhere. But we need a platform which forces us to trust each other because we trust the mathematics. So that is missing. So in order to sell it, you need, of course, the term you are calling it. That's correct. Okay. How can I do that? This is a challenge. Smart grid is certainly the answer. But smart grid is certainly the right direction. But implementation is the problem because we have to answer this question. If I want to sell, my neighbor would say, boss, you are actually taking high price from me. You are cheating me. Why are you cheating me? The neighbor would always say, because he doesn't trust me. And he has good reason to do that. तुमने तो मेरा cheat कर दिया. Something like that. So how can I decide the solar price? At what price my neighbor can buy it? I have to decide on that. ये ऐसा नहीं है, gift नहीं है कि you just go and give it to your neighbor and he says that, oh, thank you very much. No, you have just telling it, you are doing business. So these are the stumble blocks. These are the barriers. And these barriers have to be overcome. As I told you, remember I told you all the human nature, untrust, dispute, autocracy, lack of trust, quarrel, all these are here. If you cannot create this is part of human mind. So if you cannot solve these issues, nobody will be willing to buy it. So if you want to make, you have to, yeah. So now how to ensure transparency? How can I transmit power? That is okay, smart. How to meter what is the metering? How to trust the meter? So these are the questions come into picture. So this is the traditional power system. You can see this transmission line generation is completely linear. You have these transformers. Power transformers are there, and the distribution mechanism, and finally the the power is transmitted household, and there are various commercial industrial business consumers. They also take it. So this is the traditional power system. So what is the modern power system? Because the problem is that it is not only from the power plant to generate power. The setup cost is huge. If you visited power plant, certainly you did. I visited power plants number of times, fortunately, because when I was a student, we visited power plant, and in Gujarat, in IIT Gandhinagar, I visited. And also I visited power plant this year because BSP is quite nearby. But you can see the cost, the setup cost is huge. But these days we have power being generated. And solar power, solar photovoltaic cell is there. It's a huge resource, and we expect one day that everything is clean energy. India is a huge producer of solar energy. It can not only power generation, of course, coal is, fossil fuel is depleting at a much faster pace. So we have other avenues to do it. And one of the most important avenues to generate power is renewable energy, solar power. So nice, fancy in theory, but how to actually make it, transactable. This. So you have all this kind of, so this is a modern power plant which is multidimensional. That is needs to be taken into account. So this is the great picture that my colleague has designed. This is the traditional and this is the decentralized. Everything is modularized. So this woman is actually holding various resources completely separately. All the eggs are in one basket, all the other fruits in one basket. They're not all jumbled. All you have to eat. That is what this smart grid. And this woman will be called a smart grid. Okay. So let us see. Yeah. So what happens is that single point power failure is one of the most important challenges is faced by the people working in this what is this called? This is in the security itself. This is in the security itself. So that has to be avoided, and we have to have islanding of our power grid, power generation system, power distribution system, because if failure in one point should not affect the failure in the other zone. So that is what the motivation to actually, so you can see that a small, what happens in New York that happened a couple of years ago, that one grid failure completely discontinued power supply to the entire city. You can understand that how difficult it is to go on with the business as usual with this. So that is the one. This is how this solar power price is dropping every day. That is one graph from two different think tanks. So okay. So now there are consumer, there are prosumer. Prosumer is a portmanteau word combining consumer and what is that? Pro is what? Can somebody say what are two words that prosumer comes from? One is consumer, and prosumer is a combining two words. What are the two words? So there is two words actually. Yes, very good. Producer and consumer. So now I have producer and consumer. This word is actually getting traction. Producer and consumer are both together. You can think the business. So you are not only consuming, you are also producing, you are also selling. So that is called the prosumer model. Cyber physical system. I actually forgot the word. It's a cyber physical system. This one point failure in the power system is the single most challenge faced by people working in the security of the cyber physical system, CPS, cyber physical system. So this is a cyber physical system. Yes. Everything is now getting a cyber physical business. So now that is our new network of energy movement. You have renewable energy, you have large scale energy, they communicate, they actually exchange with each other, their utility services there, conventional power plant, and now the consumers are getting power for the utility system as well as from the prosumer. So now we will be able to actually have everything combined, and the main reason is not only services, it's also about creating jobs, creating, energize the business. So as I said, that when a new child was born, the country has to first write a will that this kid will be able to get a job, earn money, with this money, get his resources of his life. If there are resources, that is not enough. I have to create a job. As I said that most of the droughts and famines happened when people didn't have job. There are food supply. There are no shortage of food. So that's the interesting thing. So if a child is born, if I am unable to give them the job, even though there are resources, he cannot lead his life. So how can I do that? This is one way of that I create. So he cannot only consume, he has to produce as well, because there's a market. So you can get the connection. How interesting the connection is. Okay, so I think that you are better equipped to actually take this one. This black strip is actually the power plants. We not only have the power plants these days, we have nuclear plants, thermal power plant, hydraulic power plant. We have solar power, the renewable energy, wind power. Okay, so this strip is all about the producer of energy, the producer of energy, and these are the consumers, smart houses. Now I have a smart grid to actually automate everything, and that will be fine. And how can I have a smart grid? Okay, you get the point that I will probably I will actually create a smart grid using blockchain. Blockchain will actually be part of the smart grid. Okay, so what is a smart grid? Balance between generation and load at a low cost, mainly using small flexible load. This small flexible load is actually the most important part, small flexible load. This is important. Smart modulation of generation and load store. So this is a distribution. So I need a distribution with small flexible loads rather than a single point failure. Distribution of load, of power. This is important. That is called the smart grid, and I will use blockchain in the smart grid. Okay. Fit and forget doctrine. Yes, difficult to enforce the doctrine with distributed energy sources. Hence, active network management is there. This network management is most important. Network management. This network management. Yes. Okay. The network management is important. You can understand that how blockchain is actually coming into picture. Okay, then why my slides are not moving? Just a second. Okay. Yeah. So now this is the one.
Yes. Also.
Yes.
Sir, can you share previous slide, please?
Okay. All right. Sure. All right. Yes.
स्मार्ट ग्रिड पे जिसमें आप डिस्कस कर रहे थे सर.
हाँ. ये वाला साइड ना देख रहे हैं आप?
हाँ, yes sir.
हाँ, बोल.
So you are discussing about this what fit and forget actually you are discussing about.
हाँ. Yes. And this is the fit and forget.
Yes.
Yes.
So can you discuss more about this? It will be difficult to enforce this. Yes.
No, this is actually a power distribution and generation technique that you just fit it there and you don't have to worry about anymore. So it is fit and forget doctrine is very much tied to what I talked about, the decentralized distribution through decentralized mechanism, which means that you have a plugin and then forget it. You don't have to take care of that because it is autonomous system in itself. So even if it fails, it would not impact the other. It is easier said, but what you need to do is to have as an active network distribution management system. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The whole idea is that it is a complicated network. Whole idea is to have a balanced power supply to each and every corner of the network without bothering that failure in one part affecting the other part. That is a case when in the traditional system, because if the power plant fails, the entire community or entire locality goes out of power. That happened number of times. In India also it happened when I was not here in the US. I saw that at least for 10, 12 hours, it was full power cut in various places in India. Why did it happen? Because of the centralized ways of distributing power. And the fit and forget is that well, I actually have a component of it in the grid and I do not have to worry about it. So, but it is easier said than done, and blockchain probably allows us to have a decentralized system. Okay. So complex decision-making problems, huge investment needed to monitor staff. This is the difficulties in actually having a fit and forget. Staff not prepared for smart grid revolution, new vulnerabilities. Okay. So this is something.
Yes, sir. Sir, you are discussing about this flexible load. It means there is an implementation of this demand response program or automatic demand response program.
Yes, certainly. I am actually discussing about the demand supply issue. Also pricing, how to actually fix the pricing. Two things.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. So these are the issues that is there. So I think you know much more about this island detection techniques, and Prashant will talk more about these techniques tomorrow. All these things, but I think so now this is the solution. That is, we have solar panels installed in our rooftops, and we can have decentralized power distribution systems like this, and the management of the distribution will be controlled by smart contracts installed in blockchain. So this is some of the issues: energy market growth, all talk. And now I come back to my second question. Now, can I sell power to my neighbor? When I say sell, I think that you should not forget this word sell. My blockchain is actually deals with this sell. Power, neighborhood, this comes in the power system's traditional mechanism. But selling is not gifting. Selling is business, and business is important. If I give you a one-time gift, that is one issue. But selling means I have to have a full-fledged functioning mechanism where I can sell. So that selling is the most operative word in this case. Can I really sell? Okay, so that is the one. Now, it looks like that using microgrid, we may be able to sell this one. And blockchain comes into picture because blockchain brings this trust, the dispute resolution mechanism, as we talked in the very beginning of this lecture in 10:30. So that is the thing. I think this is not a new one. There is one Brooklyn microgrid that is happening in New Jersey, but implementation is always difficult. You have a smartphone, and you will be able to buy from your neighbor solar energy or any form of energy, and that is still in the shape of in the very nascent state and very in a very initial stage, especially how to actually show that it really works. So there are various other issues in here. So this is the graphic representation of the pictorial representation, exactly how it works. It is rather than a centralized mechanism, you have all the nodes connected. Yeah. I think that that's all of my talk. And Prashant will probably take from here and talk more about that tomorrow. Any questions now?
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so if there
are
now
it is requested to participants may kindly discuss any questions regarding sir discussion. Sir already delivered 2 sessions actually on this blockchain technology. Please. It is requested to all participants may kindly discuss any queries or questions to sir.
So can you unlock their this one, unlock their mic so that they can even talk? Now I think I am done. So the noise is not a problem right now. So anybody can talk.
Yes, sir, I unmute them all.
Yes, I would very much urge the audience to actually ask questions on this entire stuff that I spent time on. Any questions I may be able to answer, I may not, but questions are very important.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm Kirti Gupta from Vidyalankar College in Mumbai.
Okay, please, Kirti, go ahead.
Yes, sir. As I know, solar energy, the energy produced by solar energy is in DC form, direct current, and the smart grid, it will be AC supply. So we need to build a complete ecosystem where it needs to be converted into AC first, and of good quality factor.
Absolutely. You know that AC-DC conversion, actually, a lot of energy is wasted.
Right, sir.
Yeah, that is one of the pain points in implementing. That is why the power systems and blockchain people have to. And this part is very important for us too, because solar energy being converted into this AC-DC conversion with respect to solar energy will be an issue that will be taken care of also. But I want to just actually underline one point is that. See, you have to understand one thing, that the processes. In the end-to-end process, that is energy generated, stored in the panel, converted from DC to AC, and then being used by your neighbor, and then smart metering, fixed, and then pricing. So this entire process, partly it will be devoted to blockchain. Will never be able to convert AC to DC, right? It will never be able to. But there is a mechanism that we will be using to actually this conversion. Blockchain's job is very much about correct metering, correct pricing, competitive pricing, and no dispute arises between buyer and seller of energy. This is the blockchain's contribution to this. And the other part is very down to earth, like to store it. I mean, of course, I am not an expert in that. How to actually store it, how much you store it, and to have which power lines I'll be using. Will I be using the main lines, or will have a separate line? And how to actually convert from DC to AC, and then again reconvert perhaps, because various reasons. So this part have to be taken care of, and that's a good question actually. Any question?
And sir, has this happened in any of the countries outside India?
If they have, that's what I said. That there is, I know of, there is called Brooklyn blockchain. Let me just show this once again. Here, we have heard that they are. I don't know how much successful they are. This is called Brooklyn Microgrid app. This Brooklyn Microgrid app, there is a city in New Jersey called Brooklyn, and the neighborhood, they said, we do not want to rely on the main power grid. We will have our own power lines and do business among ourselves. So they created a Brooklyn microgrid where apparently they will be transacting using their. So it is a very reliant community. They don't rely on the main power grid to have this one. They have their own grid using blockchain and solar energy, and they are running their household operations or maybe businesses. Okay. Brooklyn Power, just write the name, Brooklyn Microgrid.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, I have a meeting actually very soon. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very so much delighted to get the invitation. So thank you so much, everybody, and I hope we have chances later on to again interact. And thank you to the organizers as well for the invitation.
Dr. Paul sir, this is Shalini Vaishya. Can I summarize your talk in few words?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sir has given us the two topics. One is the basics of blockchain technology, and in second topic, it is an application of blockchain to the electrical power systems. That is the blockchain in trading and financing. Sir has given us a very good concept. He has cleared all the concepts of smart grid. That how smart grid is different and useful than the conventional grid. What are the salient features of this smart grid that are helpful and Sir has given us a new terminology of prosumer, not only consumer or producer, but you can be a producer as well as the consumer. Many of the utilities which are having this solar, they are also supplying the solar. They are also feeding the solar energy to the grid that supplies energy to the grid. So it was very informative talks. Participants are highly impressed with this. So I'm very thankful from behalf of this Gyanganga Engineering College to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Yeah.
So we would like to have such associations in future also. Thank you, sir.
Oh, sure. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.